Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello. I hadn't realized that the trailer song for Guardian Angel was similar but very different from Angel's Awakening.
Yeah, it's I think it's probably the same artist. I'm not sure, but yeah, I wanted to keep them kind of somewhat similar.
Hmm.
Yeah, similar tone. Or um, but yeah, welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And it's me, your boy DB Fastbinder. We have someone in the chat there, Comic Top with Pops Van Zant. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, pops, good to see you. Yeah, so we're back. We took a week off because we had a lot of stuff going on, but we have returned to bring you some more great entertainment news and the like. So yeah,
Yep, I was kept away by the day job. Daniel was kept away by, the little thing like launching a comic book. No big, no big.
yeah. No, no big deal there. But yeah, so it's good to be back, and if you're new, what we do is we always talk about our thing of the week, which is some form of media we've been consuming.
Hmm.
Then we move on to box office analysis, and then the news, the pop culture news. So this week, a little different. DB is going first. So
Yes. So my thing of the week, I had not realized that the Konosuba Light novel series was actually over. I was telling Daniel before the show, I've been in a habit for years now of just pre-ordering it whenever it came up and then reading it later. So I was always 2 or 3 volumes behind. And then I noticed, there's no next volume. This can't be the end, can it? And yes, the answer was yes, it could.
mm,
I cannot tell you how shocked I was that the series actually ended. It's the only light novel series I really follow regularly.
mm.
And I also can't tell you how shocked I was that the series actually ended with them fighting the Demon King.
Oh wow.
Like, okay, so for those who might not be aware, Konosuba is it's like Konosubarashi something something because like God's blessing on this wonderful world. Isekai, but it's like I call it one of the few good isekai insofar as the main character struggles, the characters have personality.
Mhm.
He isn't super powerful, and he basically has on paper the one of the best teams in the world to help him out, but in practice they all have a severe personality and skill defects that make his life miserable.
Yes, like darkness, for example. The That's the blonde, and the on the in there is a total masochist.
Yes, she is a defensive character because she wants to get beat up.
Hmm.
So she has put no points into her attacks, which would have been really handy a bunch of times. But what they do with it is kind of interesting because this especially comes to the fore in the last book, is just how these characters stupidly maximizing themselves because it's an RPG world, so they have points to put into things.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, kind of pays off because darkness can survive shit that should be impossible. Megamine knows one spell, which is explosion, which is like seen as the world's biggest overkill spell because it usually knocks out the user.
Mm.
But the opening of the book is pretty hilarious because she gets a hold of something called magitite, which basically is like concentrated magical energy. So she's able to like launch 100 of them in chain with some amusing effects.
Ah.
And Aqua ran away, and that's why the whole plot happened. Like the only reason that they ended up actually fighting the end boss was because Aqua ran away to go try and fight the end boss, but she thought that they would catch her before she got there. Because Aqua's main flaw is being a complete idiot.
Yeah.
But so the positives, I enjoyed Kazuma's battle with the end boss. They had a lot. They every character got a kind of a last hurrah,
Mm.
including some characters who hadn't been seen for a bit in the series. So that was nice.
Mm.
Um, flaws. They teased romance throughout the series. I'm just gonna mild spoiler here. I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure Kazuma got the harem ending, but I don't think. But it's not entirely explicit that he got the harem ending
Ah, okay.
because he's extremely close to Megumin, and darkness is clearly besotted with him. But it's not
Hmm.
clear what the resolution there is because it ends a little bit too fast for that.
Ah, all right.
So, and I'm not usually in favor of the harem ending, but darn it, this time around, I think that it might actually be the only way to go.
Yes, yes.
But so would I recommend this series? Yes. The prose isn't the best because it's translated and it's probably translated from something that would be like Japanese NetSpeak or like Japanese fanfiction.net level writing,
Mm,
at least from a mechanics perspective. So
yeah,
you
yeah.
kind of have to make some allowance for it. But yeah, I don't regret reading it over the years. It's been fun to turn back to occasionally.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Very cool. Yeah, I've watched some of the anime. I kind of dipped out after an episode. I can't remember why, but yeah, I kind of want to go back and watch it because it is fairly clever. I mean, it's not
Mhm.
your typical isekai. Yeah.
The weird thing is that like watching season one after reading the books, they did some weird stuff. Like there was a character who was actually very integral to the series, who they
Mhm.
cut out her introductory episode and then just had her be there and and then had a flashback to briefly show her introduction in that episode.
Oh,
It
jeez.
it'd be like in an Avengers movie if I don't know some character named Captain Marvel randomly showed up. And she had never interacted with any of the characters before, but they accepted that she was around.
Hmm.
Yeah, in fact, it went. I like that one
Yeah. Huh?
about equal levels of natural.
Ah.
So this is
Yeah.
one where you do occasionally have to go read the light novel, but a third
Okay.
season is on the way. So if you
Oh,
prefer that way,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, worth checking out.
yep.
All right. So now on to my thing of the week with the Queen. Uh, the late, I should say, the late Queen,
Hmm.
because unless you've been living under a rock, she passed away a couple of months ago. Um,
What's the meme? There is no Easter Bunny, there is no Tooth Fairy, and there is no
there's
Queen
no
of
Queen of
England.
England. Yeah. There won't be a Queen of England probably for a very long time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so season 5 of The Crown dropped on Netflix. This is their dramatization series about the Queen and the royal family. Uh, if you haven't watched the show before, how they do it is the first two seasons. Well, actually, every 2 seasons they change out actors because
Hmm.
of for age reasons because they get they're not old enough to play the character anymore.
Or they
So
skip ahead a couple decades.
yes,
I gotcha.
yeah. So like the first 2 seasons was her in her 20s and 30s, and then seasons 3 and 4 were her middle years, and then seasons 5 and 6 are her later years. So we're in her later years now, and she's played by she's played by Dolores Umbridge from the Harry Potter movies. So that was a little jarring, but and then Jonathan Pryce, who played he was uh, Keira Knightley's father in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He's Prince Philip. The guy who plays Charles, he looks familiar, but I can't place him. And then the actress playing Diana, she was in Guardians of the Galaxy. She's the real tall gold woman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't remember her. I can't remember the name of the actress, but she's like 6'2" or 6'3". She's very
Okay.
tall.
So she was not standing on any stilts for that movie.
No, she was not.
Wow.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that Diana was 5'10".
Hmm.
So she was a very tall woman. But yeah, so so this season picks up where Things are really kind of it's in the early 90s, and it's when things are really starting to kind of fall apart for the royal family, especially all the
Hmm.
marriages. You got Charles and Diana having their issues.
Right.
You had Andrew and Fergie having their problems, and then Anne, Princess Anne, the daughter, she was having her marital issues, and it's just a lot of things, not going very well for them. But of course, the queen is the queen, and she still, has to, you know, maintain a certain, decorum and all that stuff. Which is basically the crux of the show. If you haven't watched it before, it's basically, her being monarch, being the head of state in a, changing world, changing Britain. Britain's becoming more
Hmm.
democratic, and people are thinking the monarchy is becoming outdated, and all that good stuff.
So, where can one watch this?
Netflix.
Okay, I thought it was a Netflix show.
Yeah. Yeah, and but it's I will say they kind of a problem they had with the previous season. Little
Hmm.
too much Charles and Diana for my taste, for my
Yeah, well, the world
preference.
the world is obsessed with that at the time, so I guess it
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. But there was a very interesting. There was one episode in there it's almost like filler, but I thought it was interesting where it was about Muhammad Al Fayed, who was an Egyptian businessman who makes his way in through England. He buys Harrods, the department store,
Hmm.
and of course, his son. You probably heard of his son, Dodi Fayed, who eventually become Diana's boyfriend after she and Charles
Okay, I was
divorce.
wondering.
Yeah. Um, but little known fact about Dodi was that he was a movie producer.
Hmm.
He was the executive producer on Chariots of Fire.
Huh, that's a random connection.
Yeah. And there's actually a scene in the episode where they're filming the opening scene on the beach, when they're all running on the beach. They're showing them filming that scene, and the Dodi and Muhammad, his father, are there watching them filming it.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it's but I mean, this is I mean, a typical autobiographical thing. They tend to play a little uh, fast and loose with historical accuracy, because they have to do it for dramatic purposes, and
I got the
you know
drama.
yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, uh, if you're interested in the royal family, definitely worth a watch. If you're not, you're probably not going to get much out of it. So
Okay,
yeah.
well, the, so making a little bit of noise here so that we have a way to cut off this part of the video. So
Oh yes.
before we get into our main thing, we wanted to just do a brief in memoriam.
Yes.
Uh, Kevin Conroy has unfortunately passed on. I think maybe I'd heard some rumblings he was sick, but he kind of didn't make it anybody else's problem.
Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, it was like with Chadwick Boseman.
Mhm.
I had no idea. He was obviously a very private guy, so
Mhm.
obviously he didn't want people to know. But yeah, and in my opinion, not that old. He was only 66.
Right,
Yeah,
that's just unfortunate.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, and obviously everyone knows him as Batman.
Mhm.
Um, the voice of Batman, and when and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was the first one to use two different voices for Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Let's see here. I've seen some of the older Batman cartoons. That's plausible.
Yeah, because he used two different, because he was Batman, he was had really deep, and then when he was Bruce Wayne, oh hi, I'm Bruce Wayne. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But he played the character for close to 30 years. in various form,
Yeah,
in various things.
not more
Like,
than 30 years. Well, never mind. I was thinking, I think it's like 91 that series started.
yeah, 91 or 92. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was not long after the Tim Burton Batman movies.
right. Since they swiped their opening music.
Hmm. Yeah, 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 and so, but yeah, I mean, he's, you know, the the voice of Batman. I think for me and for and a lot of other people, I mean, when we think of Batman's voice, that's who we think of.
Yeah, I would say that his lasting legacy is for years. Every time they came out with a new DC project and he wasn't the voice of Batman, people would complain.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Rest in peace, Kevin, and thank you for all the great memories.
Yes. R.I.P.
Now,
Right
now for some
now.
not so necessarily great memories.
Yes.
Weekly box office chart. Daniel, this may surprise you,
Mm.
but Black Panther: Wakanda Forever was at the top of the box office.
You don't say.
I know it was absolutely shocking, but it came in at kind of the low end of projections, 181 million,
Mm.
which some interesting numbers I heard. It means that with ticket inflation, roughly, well, first off, it came in like 40 million, I think, under the original's 220 opening.
Mm.
And in terms of actual number of people who saw it due to ticket inflation, the number I heard thrown around was like went from like 15 million tickets to 12 and change tickets.
Mm.
Which okay, so let's how to put it. Okay, are we fans of the Marvel Phase 4?
No.
Let's be out there. No, we are not.
No.
I have not seen a single Phase 4 thing that, well, maybe. So
We
I still
talk.
haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home. How did I? Uh,
Uh,
how have
yeah.
I managed? It's sitting on my coffee table over here. I need to fix that one of these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
But
Well, you did watch Doctor Strange too.
yeah,
We watched it and remember.
yeah. But I remember. I guess that Far From Home was technically
Phase
towards
3, I
phase.
think.
Yeah, it was like that was the tail end of Phase 3.
Yeah.
And I remember like it was all right. I remember liking Mysterio at the time, but
Hmm.
it also kind of felt like it was like the send off to it. And since then, it's just all downhill for me.
Yeah. 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 I can honestly say, like, I checked out after Doctor Strange too. I'm like, nope, done.
I tried some of the TV shows, just not my seam, or just not my thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I lay this out there so that if you want to say, "Oh, you're just biased," okay, go ahead, call me biased. The- but it seems to me that some of that performance is going to be down to the economy.
Hmm.
Some of that perform because it's not too good out there. Some of
Right.
it's going to be down to COVID, which, as much as there are still people who are afraid of that. I'm surprised at some of the people who I know personally who have started wearing masks around places because they're worried.
Yeah. 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 I will occasionally see somebody wearing a mask, but not as much as I
Well,
used to. Yeah.
well, you're in the great state of Florida. I'm on the direct opposite side of the country, so
Well. Yeah.
uh, so I see it more often than that.
Yeah.
Um, but you know what I think really hurt this more than that? Because what Spider-Man proved is that economy and COVID are no match for holy crap, it's that guy I love.
Hmm.
Not having T'Challa in a movie about T'Challa,
Yeah.
not a great plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's been that's been the talk lately, was that they should have just recast the character. And I know that that's kind of would be a real minefield, but I mean, when you have a movie that's, like you said, a Black Panther movie without Black Panther, I mean, that's mm,
Yeah, I think that the best solution I heard, like the way you could have punted, would be
mhm,
have a story that was set during the blip. Um, and
Mm,
since most of the characters who are in this movie were still alive at that time,
yeah.
and have maybe like have Namur invade while the king is like while Wakanda's weakened by that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That would have made more sense.
Yeah, it's weird how like the only thing I've seen that really acknowledges the blip was Spider-Man a little bit.
Hmm.
And even then, you have to go, wait, why did nobody age? Like, why is Peter still the same age as Ned?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Like,
because
don't
well,
think about it.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. um, and yeah, the only other thing I can think of was Falcon and Winter Soldier. That was the only other one that acknowledged the blip.
WandaVision had that be part of Monica Rambeau's origin too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Probably the best application of it I've seen, honestly.
yeah.
But and what's interesting is that it's a common refrain we've been saying for a while. So just for those who might not know, the numbers basically does a projection based on the first weekend,
Hmm.
and then they have like their projection that most movies fall into. It's been pretty rough for a lot of movies out there, honestly. Like
Hmm.
nothing. Like, I haven't really seen very much except for some surprise horror hits really live up to their projection from the numbers lately. But
Yeah.
uh, I think we're going to be seeing a big drop off for Black Panther second weekend, which considering this movie cost 200. And why does everybody always want to talk to me during? Like, leave me alone in the hour before and after podcasts.
Yes.
One second, I'm going to stop showing my screen for a sec
Okay.
and just turn off notifications for a little bit. Okay, do not disturb is now on my computer. So let's try this again.
Once more with feeling.
Yes, once more with feeling. Okay, um, so I have a feeling we're in for a big drop off because I've not really like. Okay, let's look up Rotten Tomatoes here, shall we?
It's really I think both those scores are abnormally high from what I've heard.
84%. Okay, still sitting at a rock solid 95%. There's got to be some fortification, for lack of a better term, happening here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not buying that. Yeah.
at the very least, and like from looking over some of the reviews, it's very much a situation of uh, okay, I really gave it a 2 with the way I worded it, but I'll call it fresh because
Yeah. Yeah.
it just doesn't sound good. Now, have we seen it? No. Maybe it's actually amazing, but I just don't
Yeah.
buy it.
Yeah. I from everything I've been hearing from the trusted people that I listen to, it's terrible,
Hmm.
and it's also very long. It's like I think what 2 hours and 40 minutes,
Yep.
which that is uncomfortably long in my opinion.
You better
For a
be
mo-
Lord of the Rings for it to be that long.
yeah, or even Avengers Endgame,
Mm.
because I mean, uh, I will say what you will about Avengers Endgame, it didn't feel like a 3 hour movie.
No, it kept moving. It paid off. It felt like you can pick the hell out of its time travel logic and everything,
Oh yeah, yeah,
but it paid off the characters in pretty reasonable ways.
yes,
He was Iron Man.
yeah, yeah. And but yeah, this just like it doesn't. I mean, I have no interest in seeing this in the theater. Like I mean, and I was somebody who saw Black Panther 1 opening weekend.
I think
Yeah.
I saw it second weekend. I really enjoyed it at the time, though. I'm not sure that I would share the same thought in retrospect.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I probably didn't like it as much as a lot of other people did,
Hmm.
but I mean, I thought it was a decent entry in the franchise.
I will say the people saying that Killmonger was right is like, wait, you
Hmm.
sympathize with the guy who wants to kill people based on their race?
Yeah, yeah.
That says more about you, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So meanwhile, so I think that basically sums up Wakanda Forever.
Hmm.
Um, in other news, while Wakanda Forever is underperforming its projections, it's already exceeded what Black Adam has managed in about a month.
Yeah.
So success is all relative.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, and I will, we were talking about this before the show. I mean, Black Adam, it could very well be a good movie, and from what I'm hearing, it is actually a decent superhero action movie. But to
I'd be
call it,
way more inclined to go watch this than Black Panther.
yeah, me too. Um, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to call it a financial hit when clearly it is not.
Nope.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's kind of a moral victory.
Hmm. Yeah.
The other one I thought was kind of interesting was that after more than a week, One Piece film Red has not, in the U.S. at least, has come in half of what that Dragon Ball Super movie from over the summer brought in its first weekend,
Mm. Hmm.
which I just thought was interesting because it makes sense to me that One Piece is a little under less than half as popular as Dragon Ball in
Dragon
the
Ball.
U.S.
Yeah.
Getting starting off with starting off being under the banner of 4 kids did not help.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's not surprising. I mean, like you were saying, I think I mean Dragon Ball's been around. I mean, been here in America for 25 years ish.
There were some versions where they tried to bring it out before everybody knew about it on Cartoon Network. So,
Yeah, yeah,
but
because
yeah,
yeah,
One Piece on the other hand, it's been on TV, but it's like I think it might have been on Toonami, but in like the later years, Saturday night only, diminished version,
yeah, okay,
not the after school version.
right, okay, yeah. So uh it wouldn't have been on at the same time as like Cowboy Bebop or anything like that,
Right, it wouldn't have been part of that classic era if it's been on
right?
at all. I honestly
Yeah,
forget. I know Naruto was, but eh.
yeah, yeah.
But so that's actually like pretty decent. Although um, the king of recent anime film releases was of all things Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, which dang, look at that chunky box office. Oh no,
Oh
no,
yeah.
that's right, that's right. Um, in the
Oh,
U.S.,
Demon
Demon
Slayer.
Slayer
Yes.
Mugen Train did even better. Like it's.
Uh,
Huh, that's that. Okay, yeah. Mugen Train, nearly 50 million in the U.S., 500 million internationally. So you have your power rankings for what will bring weebs to the theater.
right. Yeah.
Actually, let's be honest. This probably isn't even weebs. This is probably nothing was released in 2020, and people just wanted to get out.
Yeah.
And and the kids were like, I love Nezukorn. Let's go.
But yeah.
But
Yeah.
oh, interesting tidbit here. So Blu-ray sales of as long as they were tracking it for Demon Train was or Mugen Train was just over 3 million. I'm pretty sure that beats Thor: Love and Thunder's combined physical release so far.
Uh,
Let's find out. Why wildly speculate when we have the numbers right there? Yep, it
yep.
did. Bum, bum, ba-dum, wow.
Oh.
Mind you, you can go watch this on Disney Plus, but you can also go watch Mugen Train on Crunchyroll for free. So
Yeah.
it's all's fair.
Yes.
Um,
Uh,
Speaking of Crunchyroll and things owned by Sony that involve Asian characters,
yes.
Transition Game is still top tier.
Yes, yes.
So this wasn't on the schedule originally, but this came up whilst I was getting our materials together for the show. Um, Sony and Amazon take on Marvel multiple Spider-Verse shows, beginning with Silk Spider Society. Daniel, do
Mm.
you have any relationship with the character Silk?
I have no relationship with the character Silk.
Silk is the character that made me finally give up on Dan Slott's Spider-Man run. Because goddamn was that cringy.
Yeah.
So, um, okay, so here is her basic backstory. Actually, I'll go. I'll do a little bit back. So basically, back about nearly 10 years ago now, I guess they had Spider-Man, the Superior Spider-Man, where the plot line was basically Doctor Octopus used super science to steal Peter's body,
Mm.
and so he became Spider-Man for a while, and I enjoyed that because it was such a cool idea. It probably went on for too long, but it was really interesting just seeing a how a sociopathic supervillain would approach being a hero
Mm.
because he wanted to prove that he was better than Peter in every way. Like, you think you're some sort of great hero, I'll be the superior Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yes.
So the most heroic most heroic of motivations.
Mm.
But of course, it eventually did fall apart. And so they had a new storyline. So I was like, okay, I want to see what they do next. So I picked up the graphic novel because I've been mostly trade paperbacks for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so they reveal Cindy Moon here, who is a Korean girl who went to high school with Peter, but they always portray
Mm-hmm.
her as really young for some reason. And she got bitten by the same radioactive spider as Peter, so not a fanfic character at all.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then a character who's semi-important to the later Spider-Man lore named Ezekiel basically had her in a bunker where she was she was in hiding for the entire time, like as kind of like the backup Spider-Man, and then they found her.
Yeah.
And Peter, how to put this? Because she and Peter were so compatible, they were kind of, how to put this politely, humping like rabbits, and the midget girlfriend that Dr. Octavius had made while he was Peter got to be very annoyed at him.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
it was so cringy. I don't even remember if I finished that volume. I was just done.
Did you just take it and go? I'm done with this.
Well, I forget if I got it digitally or not, so I wouldn't want to
Oh
break my
yeah.
surface.
Well, yeah, yeah.
But okay, so let's take that personal history out of it. It's not a very rich character, but you see why Sony would go for this, because basically Sony, in the Marvel bankruptcy of the mid '90s, got the film rights to anything Spider-Man related.
Mhm.
They have been trying to make a Spider-Man expanded universe since the days of Andrew Garfield.
Yes, yes. They tried to do a Sinister Six.
That's because movies about supervillains who haven't actually met their superhero yet. Actually, wait, that's what Sony keeps doing between Venom and Morbius.
Yeah,
Now that I think about it,
yeah, pretty much.
so I guess this is just more of the same. Now, is the prospect of an Asian spider lady running around in spandex at least like surface level appealing-ish? If I put it
Yeah.
in such piggish terms, then on paper it should sound interesting, but the character has just never seemed remotely cool or fun or distinct.
Mm. Is this another Miss Marvel?
Um, I actually have to say that Kamala Khan seems to have more personality than her from what I've seen.
Okay.
And it was weird how they wrote her because uh, she was again the same age as Peter. In her first introduction, she was the same age as Peter, look at this art. Look, every single time they've drawn her, they've come out with her own, given her own series. She is written and acts like she's significantly younger, which part of that is being um, in a bomb shelter for a long time, but still,
Yeah, that's a little weird. Yeah.
yeah. Now this could go interesting places. It's apparently coming to MGM Plus, and then it's going to go to Amazon later on.
Mm. Well, that'll. Well, I don't know if I'll be tuning into it or not, but yeah.
That could be fun to do a review of down the line, but we'll
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
we'll see.
It,
Yeah,
it at least it won't be that Disney. If it's bad, it'll be a different flavor of bad from how Disney Plus does things.
that's true. Yeah.
Speaking of how Disney does things, speaking of female spin-offs,
Yes.
so remember that female-led Pirates of the Caribbean knockoff that everyone was talking about years ago?
Yes. Yes, I remember.
Margot Robbie says it isn't a thing no more.
Oh no.
Oh, how will we survive with only
uh,
5 Pirates movies, many of them of dubious quality?
yeah, I have absolutely no idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about why they would cancel this. For one thing, there has not really been a female-centric taking over the torch movie that has done super well. The
Mm-hmm.
only exception is technically the Star Wars sequels, but that's when you
Mm,
lose more than half your audience by the time you come out with a third movie. Is it a success? Is it really?
yeah, yeah. Not so much. Yeah. Um, yeah, and and we'll and I'll be honest too. I think with Margot Robbie's case, like she's okay. I mean, she's not. I mean, she's not great. I'll be honest. I didn't see Birds of Prey. Um,
Yeah, like most people.
yeah, like most people. Yeah. I was told it wasn't made for me, so
Hmm.
I didn't see it. Um,
What a great marketing campaign!
I know. It's like when like that South Park episode when Cartman buys an amusement park and he's doing ads like, "Yeah, I got an amusement park and you can't come."
Oh crap! I gotta pay for money. Oh yeah, we're letting in 3 people today.
Yeah. uh, yeah, and I will say, like, I think the only thing I've ever actually, I think Suicide Squad was the only thing I ever saw her in, and like,
And the Suicide Squad. I thought
yeah,
she was the female lead in Valerian, which goes to show how much I know her.
yeah, no, actually, the female lead in Valerian was that in season she was in season 2 of Only Murders in the Building. She's the artist. The
Right. I get the yeah. I did not recognize her in that. It just goes to
yeah,
show how much I pay attention to artists or to actors a lot of the time,
yeah,
especially in genre fiction where they're. It's like it's interesting. It's like my focus on Margot Robbie wasn't so much Margot. It's like how good is she at portraying what I think of as Harley Quinn.
mm, yeah, and she was okay. Yeah,
Yeah, but
um, yeah.
uh, yeah,
But yeah, I am of the opinion that we don't need. I don't think we need any more Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
now even if you got Johnny back at this point, it's like why? It was already running out of steam.
Hmm. Well, and he's already said he doesn't want to come back. He doesn't want to
Hmm.
play the character again. Even if they offer him $300 million, he's not going to do it.
Hmm.
So I mean, and let's be honest, like aside from like the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, like every movie that Disney has made that has been based on one of their rides hasn't been that good.
Good news then, more are coming next year. Haunted Mansion reboot in
Oh,
2023.
oh no.
Tower of Terror, led by Scarlett Johansson.
Oh,
A Jungle Cruise sequel featuring the return of Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt. And the upcoming Big Thunder Mountain movie.
What? How are you making a movie about Thunder Mountain?
I don't know. It's kind of amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, well, to be honest, I would rather see a Space Mountain movie than a Thunder Mountain movie.
I I am the most morbidly curious about Big Thunder Mountain for just the reason of it's a roller coaster. Like
Yeah,
Pirates of the Caribbean has characters.
and yeah, and so same with Haunted Mansion and Tower of Terror. Yeah, there's actually like especially Tower of Terror has a little bit of a story in it.
You know what kind of surprises me they haven't tried yet, and this seems like it would be so obvious to do as an animated movie.
Hmm.
It's a Small World. Now, I'm not saying it would be a good idea, but it's an obvious idea. Like, you could,
Yeah, yeah.
like you could do things with it. Like you could have, I don't know. I'm gonna spitball here. It's like the whole premise of It's a Small World is that the world's interconnected. You could do something with like people meeting online,
Yeah.
or you could do like you could go like That's a Small World with like an alien element where it's like, oh, they kidnap people from all over the world, and we'll make you fight in our games, but they eventually learn to cooperate in the it. People aren't so different after all.
Yeah.
That sounds like movie that Disney would make with their animation studio.
They would do that, and then torture everybody by having the song.
It's a small. Well, they'd probably get like Kesha to do like some sort of drum beat heavy remix,
Yeah, boom, boom. It's a small world after all. Ugh.
like they did with the Ghostbusters theme in the 2016 movie.
I have not seen that movie,
Yeah. Neither
so
have I, but I've heard the unfortunate. I think it was Fallout Boy who did the remake of that.
oh jeez.
But yeah. So what's interesting about this is that we're kind of seeing a tale of two studios here.
Mm-hmm.
Sony's actually been doing pretty decent. Like No Time to Die, they had to spend so much money on that thing, but
Mm-hmm.
it ended up making them money on the net in the end because they were smart with their rollout and it had crazy legs, especially internationally.
Mm-hmm.
They of course had Spider-Man No Way Home.
Mm-hmm.
Ghostbusters was basically break even. If they had waited a few months, they might have done even better. But it basically made people who had written off the movie after 2016 decide to give it another shot.
Yeah.
Venom 2 did close to what it did in the States. It fell off a lot internationally, but a lot of that was, I don't think it released in China.
Mm-hmm.
I need to watch that one too. I actually own both
Yeah.
that one and Spider Man No Way Home, but I haven't watched them yet.
Yeah, I haven't watched Venom 2 yet, and I saw Spider-Man No Way Home in the theater, but I haven't watched it since I bought it on Blu-ray yet, so I need to
Yeah.
do that too.
But they still made money off us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, but uh, and like now, actually, I did have this pulled up. Lyle Lyle Crocodile, pretty substantial bomb. But
Mm-hmm.
it's also like, oh no, we lost our $50 million budget movie. Whatever shall we do? We'll have to dry our tears with this leftover Spider-Man No Way Home money.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the tale. That's the tale of two companies, right?
Right.
Sony can do things like swing for the fences and try to make TV shows based on this Marvel stuff they have. Disney, on the other hand, is kind of having to do some reassessment because
Mm-hmm.
Disney announces more cuts as Bob Chapek attempts to salvage company. Story from InsideTheMagic.com,
Ooh.
which I will note I believe it's a rather anti-Disney site these days.
Okay.
I know that Clownfish TV likes to cite them pretty frequently.
Yeah, and they have their own Disney blog that they do. What Pirates and Princesses?
.net, yep.
.net. Yeah, yeah.
So, on the one hand, Disney on the surface seems to be doing well. So, according to a new filing by Disney, the Disney Parks division of the company posted 7.4 billion in the fourth quarter of 2022 and a whopping 28.7 billion in total revenue for fiscal year 2022, which ended on October 1st. But it wasn't all good news. Disney reported an operating loss for its streaming segment of $1.47 billion with a B for the quarter, which was about $800 million more than the earlier period, year earlier period, so comparable time frame.
Yeah.
The company attributed the increase to higher losses at Disney Plus and ESPN Plus and lower results at Hulu. That's actually kind of surprising because Hulu, probably because of all the satellite TV deal or all the linear TV deals they have,
Right. Yeah.
and the ad tier, that's the one that actually is like profitable. It's like, from what I hear for streaming in terms of like actual profitability, it's Hulu and Netflix.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Right. So that's now. How could you possibly lose 1.47 billion on streaming? So
Well.
so ESPN Plus, they the various sports leagues know that they have whoever licenses them over a barrel, and they behave accordingly.
Yeah. They got the NFL and they got I think NHL, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure who all they have. If we assume that they just kind of have the same coverage they would have for the satellite or for the cable channel,
Yeah.
basically all the sports you would actually care about, and a few that you don't.
Yeah. Well, because they have, they got Monday Night Football, and then they have, I think they still have the NBA. So they got NBA, NHL, and then NFL, and then college football.
Mm-hmm.
College football is massive.
Yeah, I never caught that bug, so it always kind of surprises me just how massive it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, as for Disney Plus losses, well, still buying servers worldwide. Servers cost electricity and are expensive in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep making things like, I think I heard She-Hulk was something crazy like 25 million an episode or something absurd like that.
Yeah. It costs well over $200 million to produce every episode.
And it never even got into the top 10 of Nielsen ratings, which, mind you, Nielsen ratings isn't the same as profit, but it shows that we've talked for a while that streaming business is challenging, and challenging, by challenging, I mean kind of a sucker's game.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And we've talked about it before. Yeah, it just seems like it's like, like you were saying, it's really Netflix and Hulu, and then everybody else is just kind of like down here. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Amazon streaming is in an indeterminate place because people are just getting the free shipping. So it's
Right. Yeah.
how much of that is really people wanting to watch Lord of the Rings?
Not well. From what I've heard, not that many.
Nope. But and also an objective look at their box office results this year. Like, now, of course, did the last Thor movie and the last Doctor Strange movie make $1 billion? No, but they've certainly spent on these ones like they wanted them to make $1 billion.
Yes. And and then of course you also had Doctor Strange. I think did just under $1 billion, if I remember correctly.
I don't think it crossed 900 million. Oh no, never mind.
Yeah,
just under $1 billion.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at the first one's results, which 676 in 2016 on a budget of 165. So you could argue that one's an improvement.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, we know like it ate it after the first weekend.
Yeah,
we've talked about that before too, where that movie got as good as it did.
Yes.
As good as it did because people thought, oh, is this another multiverse movie like that Spider-Man movie I liked so much? Maybe Spider-Man is in Doctor Strange. And I heard that they have Tom Cruise playing Iron Man and Deadpool and like all those ridiculous rumors I kept hearing about Doctor Strange.
Yeah. And then it's like, nope.
You get Professor X. Oh, that's cool. He dies casually.
Oh. But he's in his yellow hover chair, and then when he shows up, they play the X-Men theme song.
Best $15 I ever spent for a ticket.
Yeah. And hey, Ninja Toe, good to see you. I bet more people watch Paramount Plus for Transformers than
Um,
Eh,
Possible,
possible. Yeah.
but some so yeah, basically the parks are doing good, but they're also like they're treating the how to put this, they're abusing the parks like a rented mule to make up for their other losses.
Yeah.
Um, According to
Yeah.
a memo from CEO Bob Chapek, company-wide cost-cutting measures would be going into effect, and that layoffs would be affecting segments of the company in the near future. The company has also put a freeze on almost all job hiring, as well as a ban on non-essential work travel.
Hmm. Well, that's okay.
To give you an idea, my little nothing of a company in like the scale of Disney, like
Hmm.
they could buy my company if they wanted to for like pocket change, really. But the, my company just paid to send me across the country, and we hired two people in my department. So relative fortunes.
Yes.
But the stock price has been reflecting this because it turns out that you can only throw so much money at streaming for so long before people start wondering, okay, you got subs. When do we get money?
Mhm.
I was told that when you got enough subs, we'd make money as shareholders.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, that is not happening.
Nope.
Yeah, and well, I mean, when you when you put out the content, part of the thing with it is, and we've talked about this before. I mean, if you want to make money on that streaming site, and like one of the things you have to do is kind of like license out other content to show on
Hmm.
there. Because you
Hmm.
look at Disney Plus, it's all their own stuff,
Hmm.
and they're spending money on that stuff.
And then they
And
shove it onto Disney Plus.
yeah, they shove it on the Disney Plus. I mean, and in many cases, like we were saying with She-Hulk, very expensive, and
Hmm.
which I'm of course looking at I've seen clips from that show. I've seen the CGI on that show.
Hmm.
It's appallingly bad.
They really should have done the Lou Ferrigno thing and gotten a tall woman and painted her green.
Yeah, it it, it it probably would have been an improvement.
Yep.
Yeah. But and then you look at like the Star Wars shows that they've done. Aside from the Mandalorian, they haven't been very good. I mean, of course, like Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi were supposed to be movies,
Yep. Then they stretched him out.
and then
Stretched him out.
stretched.
Uh, and now, one exception to this apparently is that it sounds like Andor is going to be shown on ABC.
Yeah, I heard that, and it's the first two episodes,
Hmm.
and from what I've heard from people who've watched it, the first like nothing really happens in the first two episodes.
Hmm.
It's not really till the third episode that something actually happens.
I've heard multiple people say that it goes in threes for Andor,
Hmm.
but it also sounds like it might be the best Disney Star Wars that we've gotten for a while. But it's
Yeah.
also like, sorry, man, you kind of let everyone down with Obi-Wan and Boba Fett. That, so why would they assume you're doing a good job with the character they don't? Like they might remember, who's Andor again? Oh yeah, he was that guy what died in Rogue One.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard the same thing. I've heard that it's slow, but it's actually really good. But yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like, I don't care.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just yeah,
Maybe later on down the line, but
yeah, yeah.
maybe.
I maybe yeah. Um, but yeah, because like some of the still images I've seen from the show kind of reminds me of th. Interestingly enough, THX 1138.
Hmm. Which I should probably see at some point just for the experience.
It's weird.
Uh, oh, I've heard.
It's weird. Yeah, yeah, George Lucas was being very experimental.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, did he get to make that one before or after American Graffiti?
It's before.
Okay, well, it's kind of amazing that they let him make a movie after that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, this is you know unsurprising to see from Disney. Clearly, the economy is affecting everybody, including them. It's as somebody, and I've talked about this before. I live within driving distance of the Magic Kingdom and everything else. I have an annual pass, and so this doesn't really bode well for going to the parks.
No,
Yeah.
because it means that they're gonna it means there gonna be fewer employees. They're gonna slash amenities and probably
Mhm.
keep jacking up the prices.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I can tell you right now, having talked to people, like I have a family member who's in the uh, Facebook group for the annual pass holders. They don't like Chapek very much, and
No.
yeah, and so this is not going to they're going to hate this even more. Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of evil empires laying people off, M- Meta is also doing major layoffs around the same time that Twitter is doing major layoffs.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh, so, in the so I think what this basically all comes down to when you is that how to put this. Well, okay, so let's talk a little bit about Meta here. Of course, part of the problem with Meta is first off, they're starting to actually see a slowdown in people interacting with Facebook and their other core brands.
Hmm.
They also keep wasting billions of dollars on this metaverse nonsense that basically looks like it looks like graphics off the Wii U, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't look good at all. And if old Zuckerberg is trying to create his own version of the Matrix, he's failing spectacularly.
Yeah, I watched there's a channel I recommend called Modern MBA that I believe they recently did a deep dive on the metaverse and like why are they betting the farm on it. It's
Mhm.
because Facebook's a little umbrella of businesses is all about getting to know about you as much as possible because targeted advertising is worth a lot of money.
Mhm.
Like just for example, when was the last time you saw a billboard when you were driving down the road that you were actually interested in?
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe like occasionally say like, oh, that restaurant sounds interesting,
Mhm.
or oh, the McRib is back.
Oh, Ron John Surf Shop. That's only the third one of those billboards I've seen.
Yeah, uh, but most of the time it's like a have you been injured? You're entitled to money. Call me.
Hmm.
Uh, Advertisers hate that type of thing because you're not only going to see like even like something relatively mainstream like the McRib, you're showing it to vegans, Muslims, Jews, health nuts, people who don't like McDonald's just in general.
Hmm.
You're going to waste a lot of bandwidth is going out there to appeal to people who will never buy a McRib.
Right.
So what Facebook's business opportunity is basically they know shocking amounts of information about you, even
Yeah.
more than they could probably predict whether you would like a movie better than you would, which means that if they have a profile for like, hey, we're coming out with a new, I don't know, Star Trek movie, show it to people who like Star Trek movies. Show this ad to people who like Star Trek movies. That's worth a lot
Mhm.
of money to not just have the billboard effect or to like put an ad in a print newspaper or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Recently, though, Apple and Google, Apple specifically, has said, I don't think we like not that they're super private, but I don't think we like Facebook knowing more about our customers than we do. So we're gonna like in this. I think in iOS 14 they really ratcheted back the ability of apps to collect data.
Hmm.
which hurts Facebook. So they're basically trying to do the metaverse as a, well, okay, so it used to be everything online was text, then photos. Now you have things like videos, like we're doing right now, are a big thing. What
Right.
comes after that? Aha, virtual reality. We'll own that.
Hmm.
It's a decent idea, but the execution has been very flawed.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I just like a lot of people. I'm not the biggest fan of Zuckerberg. Just-
No,
I don't want him, you know, having that much access. I don't like the access he has to me already. I don't want him
yeah,
having any more access like virtual reality, stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and so it's really, and like you were saying, like you look at it, it's like Nintendo Wii level graphics. Is yeah, yeah, Ninja Toe. How is Meta still a thing?
Um,
Um,
yeah, it still brings in more money than it loses in terms of advertising on Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp.
yeah, but yeah, it's this sounds like one of those things that they probably didn't. He probably didn't think it through very well before putting it out.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like they bought Oculus Rift and they were just seemed to be content to have it as a add-on for PCs, and then
Hmm.
it took it a stupid direction.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think virtual reality is ever really going to be a thing, and at least not the way it is now. I think holographic technology is probably the way to go, but we're decades away from that.
Yeah, it's we're not going to have Sword Art Online anytime soon. Sorry,
No.
Kirito.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Uh, But what's also interesting is that so Disney and other streaming services have stopped revealing numbers of subscribers as much. Like Netflix, and during their announcement said, "Hey, we're going to stop reporting. We're going to stop setting targets for how many subscribers we want because we've kind of realized that for shareholders, it's more about how much money are we actually making."
Hmm.
And it seems like we might be at the end of what I'm going to call the Silicon Valley era.
Hmm.
Like I'm going to list off a few things here: HelloFresh, Uber, Grubhub. Let's see here. Trying to think of some others.
DoorDash.
DoorDash. Try, I'm trying to think of other like things besides delivery services. Casper, Harry's Razors.
Mm.
Uh, guess which of those companies is profitable?
Um, I'll guess. I'll guess Casper.
The answer is none of them.
None of them.
But you were very close because you were just off by one.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Ninja Toe got it. None of them.
Even Spotify, which is pretty mainstream, isn't. But
Mm,
what all these companies are built on is the idea, and this is also like kind of the fallacy that led to a lot of investment in streaming. They're all built on the idea that, okay, step one, get established. Step two, crowd out the competition. Step three, jack up the prices and profit.
mhm,
The problem is that when everybody's doing that, like that modern MBA channel had a very good video about why direct to business and food delivery is a sucker's game for these companies.
mhm.
Uh, it's basically it's almost impossible to actually make a profit because anybody can start their own at any time, and that keeps your prices low. Like to
Yeah.
really be profitable for Uber, in theory, like they'd be great if people were willing to pay $20 for delivery.
Mhm,
They are not.
mhm. Yeah. 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 It's definitely a uh, invest at your own risk.
Right. It's a weird thing where Silicon Valley has just been full of people who are willing to fund things, and it's like they're almost like, look, man, if it has a cool app and a name that sounds trendy, throw $1 million in. If we do that to like 1,000 companies, a few of them are going to be the next Facebook or Microsoft. So we'll make up the losses on that one.
Yeah.
But eventually, the investors want to actually, have money back on their investment.
Yeah, that's usually that's
That's
usually
usually a
how it
good thing.
goes. Yeah.
Like if we look at like Thor: Love and Thunder, we by the math, it either failed to break even or just barely broke even, and then it sold fewer Blu-rays than Demon Slayer in the
Hmm.
States.
Yeah.
So did all those Hollywood investors give them $250 million to shove into Thor: Love and Thunder to break even? Like, hey, thanks for the
No.
$100. Yeah, it's like it'd be like, hey Daniel, I have this idea for this new business. I just need $100, and I'll get you, and it'll take a few years, but I'll get you your money back. You would say, I want 110.
Yeah. Yeah, and then exactly, and I think and that's well, this was I think I heard Paul Chato say this on Midnight's Edge the other day. So, well, maybe they should stop making movies that need to make $1 billion.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to the era of Hollywood and tech austerity,
Hmm.
where only things that actually make sense persist.
Yes.
Because there's been a lot of cloud cuckoo lander nonsense because of all this low interest money that's been floating around.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
on that happy note, unless you happen to work for Facebook, in which case, yeah, our condolences. Hope you find yourself a new job.
Yes. Yeah.
If you worked at Twitter, screw you.
Yes. Pretty much. Yeah.
um, I think I think that's our show for the week.
Yeah.
Now we haven't really talked about this, but I doubt we're going to be able to film on Thanksgiving itself.
No, yeah. No, we're not. So yeah, so we won't be back next week. Because I have plans on Thanksgiving, and I'm sure
How
DB you
utterly
do as well.
how
Yeah.
utterly selfish of us.
I know, I know. But we will be back the following week for another episode. Thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. Smash the like button, hit that
Mhm.
subscribe button, and ring the bell.
By the way, we exciting news. We're over 50 subs now.
Yes. Thank you all for subbing. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, we will. And we are going to be recording a no hype review, but I'm not gonna say what movie we're going to be talking about. But uh,
That's a dangerous zone you're in there, man.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you all again, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Good night, everybody.
Not everyone.